major point that I want to make for everybody to understand. The gun didn't do anything. The gun is a tool. We have guns sitting right here in between us. We can give these 4 guns all the emotional distress we want to give it. The gun is not going to get up, load itself, and take a shot at somebody. We give guns so much power. We think that you put a gun in front of somebody that they're automatically going to know how to use it and already know.
I know we have all these guns right here. They're all toys guns. It's not real. It's fake. You know what I mean?
Someone pulls a gun, run. I don't believe that there's a situation where it's okay to kill somebody. I believe there are situations where it's okay to use deadly force. Now, whether they survive it or not, who knows? Okay, there's a big difference. It's not saying
if he dies, he dies.
Yeah,
Right.
Basically, yeah. That's actually a really good point.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Haitian Kings Podcast. Today, we have a special guest. I know we say that for most of the guests we have, because all of them are special, but this one is extra special. And if you guys look around, you'll see that it's a bit different. Today, we look a bit cleaner. We look like we mean business. And we even look like John Wick. Well, and then you guys will get to see why later. Today, the guest we got out here, the man is like a expert in guns. I don't know what that makes him. I don't know the right title for it, but that's what we're going to leave it at, expert in gun. Without any further ado, Byron, a.k.a. John Wick.
Look at him. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I want to thank y'all for letting me come on the show.
Man.
This is a first for me, especially with social media. So I embrace first times.
There you go. That's first time for everything. Because we've been talking about doing this for the past.
This is amazing. We did.
So because, they got a lot of stigma and a lot of stuff going on about bad things going about guns. So in this episode, we're trying to wrap everything in, see why people need to have a gun and all of this stuff.
Oh, awesome.
So you're the perfect guy that would have they can explain to the people. They can have people see from different ideas. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to start. Who is Byron? So
all right. So I am a Lake Charles native, born and raised here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Most people who would think us Southern guys, they would think that we're born with a pacifier and a .22 pistol.
I used to think that too.
They believe that, everybody shoots guns everywhere. Well, believe it or not, I wasn't introduced to guns until about 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So my story is a little bit different than your typical gun owner. But to go into a little bit further into who I am, just like I say, a native of Lake Charles. Went to LaGrange High School, played football. I ended up playing football for Southern Arkansas University. Then I moved back home. Then I ended up moving to Virginia for work. Then I ended up moving back home again, and then come to find out back home is where everything is working out for me. So when I bought my first home, spent about a year to set up my house. The bachelor pad, first house, had to make it nice. Then a year later, one of my good friends that's here in Lake Charles, John B. Much shout out to John B. He calls me. He said, "Hey man, you've been in your house for a year. You have to protect your home." He said, "Did you buy a gun yet?" And I'll say, "Well, I was never against guns. I just had no knowledge. I had zero knowledge on guns. So anytime a group of guys would have a conversation around me about guns, I had nothing to say. So I feel like I was left out. So when he said, hey, if somebody breaks into your house and they have a gun in their hand, I know what you can do. I know I've trained in mixed martial arts in my lifetime. I'm looking at going back to jiu-jitsu training. You can't beat a bullet. So what I did was I went to one of our gun stores in Sulphur that it was Action Arms, and they had a shooting range with the store. So I went, talked to the guy, said, hey, I'm completely green when it comes to guns. I just need to brush up on knowledge. So the guys were amazing. They showed me what I need to do to get started, how to load a magazine, how to put it in the gun and everything. So I went to their range. Lo and behold, there's 2 police officers, and they're already shooting. I'm over here brand new. So I feel like a little pump when I'm walking into the range. I'm like, yeah, hey, what's going on? You know, just want to put some bullets downrange, man. You know, they didn't know that I'm a beginner. But the cool thing is they had cameras. So they said, hey, wave to us in case you need some help. No problem. So I had a Springfield 40 cal. I put one bullet in. Didn't want to make any mistakes. I gripped that gun so tight, I thought I was going to break it. Pulled the trigger one time. Realized that it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. When I say that kicked the snowball and made it grow, yeah, it turned into a collection that I'm actually pretty proud of.
And that one thing I kind of we kind of wanted to make sure we address first and foremost before we get too crazy into it, because we live in America 2024. A lot of people look at guns as the devil, and especially with all those school shootings, you know, people with mental illness shooting up Walmart and stuff like that. As somebody who's like I don't know, an expert into guns, to where you know how safe they are, the purpose as of why everybody should have a gun. What is your input on all that? On all that,
the major point that I want to make for everybody to understand: the gun didn't do anything. The gun is a tool. We have guns sitting right here in between us. We can give these 4 guns all the emotional distress we want to give it. The gun is not going to get up, load itself, and take a shot at somebody. It's whoever is using the gun. The person chose that particular weapon to carry out whatever crime or deed that they wanted to do. So, yeah, it comes with a responsibility. A lot of responsibility, which is why we harp on safety, number one. But evil is evil. If someone wants to do evil things, they can do evil things without a gun. They simply chose the gun because it's the easiest weapon to use in order to carry out such deeds. So the way I look at guns, basically what we're doing is throwing a rock really fast. So if you took a rock and threw it at somebody as hard as you can, most likely it would do some damage. So what we're doing is taking a very small rock, and we figured out a way. I'm not gonna say violently, I say aggressively. We're throwing that rock as fast as we can, and then we calculate the ballistics of what it does to human flesh. So it's just a very popular tool that people use to carry on evil deeds. But at the same time, that same tool can be used to carry out very positive deeds, and which something I harp on is personal protection.
Do you feel like everybody should own a gun? In your opinion?
I would say if you're interested in guns and you want to learn, you should own a gun. If you're not interested in guns, if you don't have to do anything with guns, I would say learn about it first. Give it a chance. If you gain some experience with the gun and you decide this is not for me, I have no problem with you not owning a gun. If there are many other options available. There's non-lethal options. There's non-projectile options. If that's what you favor, so be it.
So our gun required in the society that we're living right now?
Say it again?
You think gun is required in the society we're living right now?
Required. Ooh, that's a very, very touchy way of putting it. Required, I wouldn't say required, but it has its place. It really has a very strong place because every war, every fight that we've had that took it to that level of lives being lost, most of the time it was guns that were involved. But at the same time, you can save just as many, if not more, lives with a gun. So just to bring it to basics, if somebody was breaking into your house, what is the worst thing that they can have in their hand?
A gun?
It's a gun. Doesn't matter what kind. In my view, doesn't matter what kind of gun. If you have a gun in your possession, not only you're on equal levels as far as having a gun. Now, we can go into ballistics. If you had a 22 and they had a rifle, you had a 9mm, they had a 45, whatever the case may be. Gun is a gun. But you still have the advantage because if you're breaking in my house, I know my house with I can walk around my house with the light with the lights off, with my eyes closed. Most of the time, I would dare to say 9 times out of 10, the person who's breaking in your house doesn't know your house like you do. So you actually have an advantage. So having a gun would put you on the same plane. But the great thing is that just the sight of a gun, or even knowing that you may be carrying a gun, typically is one very strong deterrent for violence.
And when it comes to home protection, right? I know most people prefer a shotgun. Some people just keep one handgun. Within your expertise opinion, what kind of gun you feel like would be best for somebody to have at home if they want to only own one gun for protection?
I put it like this: whatever gun you are comfortable with, because no gun is good to you if you have no experience and no knowledge of it. So try a shotgun. Go shoot it at a range. Find somebody to help you. Call me. I'm a gun instructor. I would love to show you. So if a shotgun is not viable for you because some people may be recoil sensitive, so be it. Let's try the AR-15, just like the one y'all have in between. It's a very low recoil gun. You can shoot up to 30 rounds in a standard magazine. It's very easy to use. It's very easy to aim. If you feel like that's too much and a handgun would be better, pick up a handgun. It has every different style of gun has its own pros and cons. But
all the talks about guns has always been about like shoot ban AR-15. What's your opinion about that?
Like a automatic rifle, like nowadays.
Okay. If you're going to shoot fully automatic, your accuracy goes almost to zero. Now, of course, with training, you can get better. You can get better with anything with training and experience, but typically fully automatic, no. That's pretty much a spray and pray. Just because you're throwing a bunch of bullets out there doesn't mean it's going to hit. So you actually have less control of the gun. It's less safe to shoot with fully automatic. Now, again, does it have its place? A crowd, you want to hit let's say you're just somewhere, you want to hit as many things as possible that's in front of you. Yeah, fully automatic. And don't get me wrong, it's so fun. It's fun to shoot automatic, fully automatic.
It looks fun.
It is when you shooting guns. What a lot of people don't realize, whoever doesn't have a lot of experience with guns, it's fun. Oh my God, it's one of the best things, and it's one of the best stress relievers I've ever had. But fully automatic, you lose your accuracy, which is why I believe semi-automatic is pretty much the way to go. Hell, our military. I've taught many military guys to have their concealed carry licenses. They said the most they ever set their gun to was 3-round bursts. Because after that, it's too much. You're just going to waste bullets spraying and praying. So the 3-round burst was the maximum in case you need to shoot many targets all at one time.
But you think AR-15, like, all the discussion over the years with gun politics and stuff like that, and they're always going for ban AR-15. Mm-hmm. So you think it's a good idea or no?
So the AR-15 is the easiest gun to consider bad because of the way it looks. So if you look at the looks of the gun, matter of fact, the one right there in between, it just has that mean, go to war, I want to tear something up look to it. But when you really dig deep and you go down that rabbit hole of what they're doing with guns in the engineering today, that rail on top, it looks like a skeletonized rail on top of the gun. That's so that the parts you want to connect to it, whether it's a laser, a red dot, a scope, sights, it's an easy way to attach it to the gun so that it doesn't move whenever you're shooting. So yeah, it has that look. So it's an easy, perception is reality. So when you look at an AR-15, it just looks like death. But at the same time, you have a criminal that's threatening you, and you pull out that same AR-15 that has that look of death, you may be able to have a criminal take a second thought of, do I want to engage this person or not? So politics, the way I see it, since perception is reality, it's an easy gun to be labeled as the enemy. But notice they're not saying much about handguns. They're not saying anything about your grandfather's shotgun because, I'm used to seeing that. They're just not used to seeing the AR-15.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like perception because a lot of people are not used to it, and maybe usually they see it in like war movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's always seeing the devastation that is done. So that makes a lot of sense.
And people forget, okay, when it comes to movies, in order for a movie to be believable, you have to include some reality into that movie. So, I'm a lifter. I see you guys in the gym also. You see, in a movie, you'll see a guy picking up 2,000 pounds like it's nothing. Well, that's because they're trying to create this scene or create this world that we have humans that can just pick up 2,000 pounds with no problem. Have you ever seen that happen in the real gym?
Hell
exactly. No. So when it comes to guns, they want to give that perception of what guns do and what guns are. So you can't really compare real life situations with guns to the movies. Now, the movies, they're going to have some realism, but they can only go so far because it's a movie, okay? But when I got into guns, I've never watched a movie the same. So most movies you see, I don't know if you realize, like, let's say The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. The main gun that the agents use are Desert Eagles. I don't know if you noticed
That's
that.
my gun. Yeah. Why is that? I've noticed that too, but why is that?
Because it looks good on camera.
That gun is so heavy, and the kick
Have
is
you ever
so...
shot? I think first time I shot one was with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's really hard for you to
now,
carry this around like
you've
that.
seen The Matrix before you shot my gun, right?
Yes.
When you saw it, they were just shooting like it was no problem.
Yes.
Inside of a building.
Yeah.
You pulled that trigger one time, and I bet you thought in your mind,
Oh, yeah, that thing got some kick.
Well, not only it has kick, but you're not going to handle this gun the way they did on that movie.
Yeah, they were shooting with one hand and all that kind of stuff too.
Oh, they were shooting like it was a 22.
Yeah.
So like I said, you can only go so far with the realism in movies.
Misleading too.
There you go. So I tell everybody, you're either gonna watch your movies differently now, or you're gonna realize that the movie is not the 100% total truth about guns. So you got to be careful when it comes to movies. What are they trying to tell you? What message are they trying to tell you about guns? It's a tool. I'm pretty sure you could do much damage with a hammer, with a screwdriver, just like a knife or anything like that. It's a tool. It's an aggressive tool. It's a loud tool.
Yeah.
And also, it speaks one language. Well, no, I take that back. Not speaks one language. It's a universal language. No matter where you're from, you know what the gun means.
But okay, speaking of gun, like whenever you see it in the movie, they show you that the gun can do more than it can actually do. Mm-hmm. And let's just say if we're talking about hip hop or rap music nowadays, where they talking about, man, I got that chopper and all that kind of stuff. Do you think like that's something that's helping the gun, the way people see gun out there, or are they working against it?
Yeah, I think what you want to use the gun for. So when it comes to the music, they're going to say what they need to say to make sales. So does it help? I would say most of the time it doesn't. Just to say, oh yeah, I got this chopper just in case somebody want to do something. Well, it depends on how you look at it. So if they say in case somebody want to do something to me, okay, I've had a situation after Hurricane Delta where I had a couple of guys wanted to do something to me. So how do you reference that? Are you saying just somebody on the street just out of nowhere, you just want to show off, or is it a real situation that you need to deal with? So again, it's all about perspective.
But the perspective, I've always felt like whenever I'm listening to his music, it always gives me the perspective like I'm a tough guy. You can't mess with me because I got this in the trunk before I pop the trunk on you kind of stuff. That's the perspective I always
And that is a very, very strong perspective as far as guns, because we see it as the macho thing.
Pretty much.
And you don't see too many women together talking about guns.
Oh, no.
Oh, guys, I don't care where we're at. Somebody say something about a gun, all of a sudden it gets the ball rolling, which... I've been a part of those conversations so much.
I'm sure you were leading them too.
No, before I became a gun owner, I'm part of these conversations. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, So when I got into guns, now I could have my input, but I didn't want to give an input that either wasn't true or I didn't have enough experience to put this input. So I did my research. I did a lot of shooting, still do a lot of shooting, whenever I can. But now, for the first time, I'm actually getting reports back from the general public saying, hey, man, I want your opinion on this gun before I buy it. And now I'm not used to it. I've never gotten this type of attention before. But I'm like, hey, if you trust my word, then I want to give you the best answer that I can give you. And if that gun is great, go for it.
Let's go back a little bit because I remember like when you was talking, and we both know you an instructor. So what make you become an instructor?
Oh man, perfect question. I was just thinking about that the other day of how I've gotten this far into guns. Like I said, I started shooting about 9 years ago. 1 year after I bought my first house, I bought maybe a couple of guns. Just so happened that I have a cousin that received this FFL license so that he can sell guns. So I got in touch with him, and then I started to buy guns from him. And lo and behold, it wasn't a epiphany. It wasn't, man, I want to help the world and everything at that point in time. It was very simple. My cousin called me and said, hey, let's make some of this money back. Let's become instructors because these are expensive, you know. So I said, hey, I'm down with that. So we went to get trained. We trained in Longville, and we got our certifications to become instructors, and that opened up the entire gun world for me of what guns really mean to us, to people who are already in the guns, people who are in the military, people who are in security positions, and your beginners, which I think is very important, are people who know nothing of guns and want to learn. So I say, well, hey, if it takes me to have a certification to show you that I am a gun instructor, so be it. Let's do it.
So being in the business for over 9 years now, what is the biggest misconception people have about guns?
Ooh, we give guns so much mental power. So what I mean by that, so let me give a really good example. Facebook. You ever notice when somebody would begin dating, they say, oh, it's not official until it's Facebook official, okay? We give Facebook so much power that you're not with that person unless you put it on Facebook, okay? In that same sense, we give guns so much power. We think that you put a gun in front of somebody that they're automatically going to know how to use it and already know. And I see where that power comes from because look at toys. We have a lot of toys, Nerf guns, that are made to look like
real guns.
typical guns. Now, even if they don't look like a gun, look like a space age type, look at the function. There is a handle, there's a trigger. You pull the trigger, the gun activates. So a real gun, that's where you get it from. You pull the trigger, the gun fires. So yeah, in a way, you're learning about guns even as a kid playing with toys. But we give the gun so much power that, there's so many misconceptions that comes up. But the gun doesn't do anything. It's the user of the gun. So some people actually have PTSD of having a gun pulled on them or pointed at them. It's not the gun's fault. It's the user of the gun that pointed the gun at you. So to say that if we take all the guns away, that would have never happened. In a sense, you're right. Yeah, but they would have just chosen something else.
Probably be a knife. Yeah. I mean, I can agree with you in a sense, but like even though gun is powerful, let's get that. So when somebody pull a gun on you, just if they pull the trigger, that's it. So I can imagine how that can affect somebody just knowing when they pull a gun, because a knife, when somebody pull a knife on you, you always feel like, okay, I got a chance. Like, you know what I mean? Like it depends on where you stab me at. You get what I'm saying? Okay. I can, if I start running, okay, I got another shot. You know what I'm saying? With the gun, it's just like the minute the person pull out the gun on you, now you defenseless.
I'm glad you said that. You actually still do have a chance if somebody pulls a gun. there's not a 100% guarantee that that gun is going to work. What if somebody pull out a gun and they didn't? You don't know if they know how to use it. What if it's jammed and they don't know that, but you see that it's jammed? You know, what if they don't get the shot off? What if it's not loaded? They thought it was loaded. What if it's a toy gun? So you still do have a chance. Just because they pull a gun, that doesn't mean it's all over. You still fight. If you're going to take a shot, you're going to take a shot one way or the other. I would say you still fight.
Speaking of guns, sometimes doesn't work. And also speaking of movies and things that's not really realistic. I remember it was one thing I've seen somebody done in a movie. I thought it was really cool. Of course, I never tried it. But it's kind of like somebody pulled a gun on someone and they pretty much held it so tight to where the gun couldn't cock back and release the bullet and nothing happened. And I've always wondered, is that a real thing? Can that actually happen?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
It depends on the gun, I'm guessing?
Okay. If you hold the slide, the gun won't, it can still fire if there's a bullet in the chamber. It won't cycle to the next round if you're holding it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if there's no round, now if you can point the gun in a different direction, they fire that bullet, if you know your guns, you know that the next round was not cycled through. You have to manually
Cock
cycle
it back
the gun.
in to put another one in the chamber.
There you go.
If you see those memes, if you try this, you're gonna wake up in heaven.
Yeah. They're usually saying, "Hey, just do this," and
You're
then
gonna wake up in heaven.
and all of a sudden you try and you just.
But
Okay.
There's this guy who kind of went viral, I want to say about a year ago or so, who was kind of I think he was giving gun instructors a bad reputation, to where he was showing you weird stuff you would do if somebody put a gun on you, you'd get away with it, kind of stuff.
It's like
a black dude with curly hair.
Was it Detroit Urban?
Yeah, something like that.
They call it Dust, I think it was.
Yeah. So
Survival
what's your
tactics.
opinion on something? Do you think that's safe to keep, misinforming people? Like, let's just somebody don't know nothing about gun and you tell them try this, you won't get shot. Like,
I would say absolutely not.
but go ahead.
I'm not saying don't fight for your life, but these tactics is like it's equivalent to somebody just teaching a self-defense class. Okay, you're not going to come off the street or from your home. You never had a fight in your life. You learn a couple of techniques. I'm like, let's be real. If I grabbed your pinky and twisted it, you think you're going to fall to your knees?
Yes, it will.
Probably not.
Twist my pinky?
If we were in a struggle, and I so happen to grab your pinky and just kind of twist it, are you really just going to fall to the ground and?
Not fall to the ground, lady, but I'm gonna react like to it.
Yeah, you'll have a reaction, but it's not going to completely disable you.
Yeah.
So I would say instead of saying, I'm going to go take this self-defense class, no, go learn a discipline. Taekwondo, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, whatever. Learn how to fight. And that's your self-defense. So when it comes to guns, instead of learning this little technique, if I hold the barrel like this, this is going to happen. No, learn how to shoot, carry your gun, So, but like I said, all these little tactics and everything, you're not even guaranteed that that's going to work. As a matter of fact, he has a video where those techniques were not working.
I don't think it would work from the video
Because
I saw.
I think it was a guy that he said, okay, point at me and get ready to shoot. Well, as soon as he made a move, all he did was pull the gun back, and he missed the gun, and bam, he was getting shot. I'm like, there's too much room for error when it comes to that. So, my number one response for everybody: someone pulls a gun, run, get out of the situation, because number one, a moving target is much harder to hit than a target that's standing still.
Absolutely.
Through my instruction experience, I put a paper plate or a target or whatever I'm using on the board, and you still miss. I still miss to this day, and then you dial it in to where your percentage of hits increases greatly. But in a situation, now remember at the range, both of you came with me to the range. We were relaxed, we were playing everything safe, we were being responsible, and we were still missing. Could you imagine your adrenaline spiked to 100%? You may or may not just got off of work. You're tired. Now you have this situation you've never been in before. You don't know what's going on. How do you respond? A good phrase I've heard: you're only going to be as good as your training. So whatever you practice, whatever you discipline yourself to, that's where you're going to fall to. Because after that, it's just reactions.
another question I kind of wanted to ask you, like when it comes to safety, of course, the best thing I would advise people to go through is make sure you get a gun, get training, know how it works, and so on and so forth. But also, I feel like there's like another part of the whole idea that nobody ever thought of. Because you got a gun on you, right? Somebody break into your house, and then there's rules, certain things that apply. If you shoot them once, you cannot shoot them again. Or let's just say you got a gun on you at a gas station, and that gray area always scares me because I feel like it's gonna bring more trouble than it's worth.
There's always a gray area, and what I like to say, I'd rather be alive and to deal with that gray area than to lose my life and now, what's next? My sister and my niece, they have to figure out what to do with my stuff. It's going to devastate them to no end. I'd rather be alive and deal with the gray areas. So your best bet is to learn the laws of your state. If you have to go to a lawyer to have them interpret the laws for you, do that. And there's different scenarios, calls for different plans of action. So now, one point that I really did want to make to everybody, whether you're a gun person or not, is I don't believe that there's a situation where it's okay to kill somebody. I believe there's situations where it's okay to use deadly force. Now, whether they survive it or not, who knows? Okay, there's a big difference.
And
it's not saying
if he dies, he dies.
Yeah,
Right.
Basically, yeah. That's actually a really good point right there. But so I actually thought of it on the way here, and I say, well, yeah, there's never, especially in my belief, there's never a right time to kill somebody. But there are times where deadly force may be your last resort. So whether they survive or not, that's really on them. Did they survive your type of deadly force? We clown about a lot. I know my deadly force would typically be something that might not survive.
With that collection.
But at the same time, we've had cases where somebody would break into somebody's house, they get hurt, they don't die, but they sue the homeowner.
How is that even possible?
Because if somebody gets hurt on your property, you are responsible.
But
that's what I'm saying. This never makes sense to me because this guy's an intruder, come to your house, and then fail, and then turn around and sue you.
But it's not even the fail. What I'm talking about, let's just say right now I'm in the middle of the night and then somebody's trying to break into my house. The moment let's just say I wake up to go see what it is. The moment I see a person that I don't recognize, first thing I'm going to do is shoot. So let's just say, like you said, it's okay to use deadly force. It's okay not to kill somebody. Because once he's down and I know he's no longer a threat to me, he doesn't have any weapon, how can he turn around and sue me when he broke into my house? He wasn't even supposed to be there to begin with.
I'm still asking that question to this day. Because there is a story in my old neighborhood where I grew up. Guy broke into a house, he came in through the attic, fell through the ceiling, landed on the kitchen knives, cut himself real bad. Now the homeowner is paying his medical bills. Makes no sense.
It does not.
Now, does that happen every time? I would think not. Matter of fact, I've taught one young lady, her class. She actually had to defend herself in her apartment with a guy that came through the window and came after her, attacked her directly. She shot him twice in the shoulder, twice in the stomach. The guy ended up dying. So the law enforcement actually said that the person's family did not have the right to come back and sue her for anything because she was in the right. So, again, will that happen if you had to defend yourself and they live? Will it happen that you have to pay their bills? Possibly, because it has happened.
But the thing is, this shouldn't even be a possibly.
I agree. I agree with that. It shouldn't be. If they broke the law to come in, if they forced their way into your house, personally, I would say all bets are off. There's a potential for you to die if you break into some people's house, especially in South Louisiana, where we're born with a 22 and a pacifier.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. One time it was me and my cousin. We was driving back from Florida. And I remember we had some stuff that we had from my brother. We were supposed to drop him off. And I remember by the time we got in town, it was like 2 in the morning.
Okay.
We were supposed to drop off some stuff to his house and then go drop him off and then go to my house. And we were tired, like I said, driving from all the way from South Florida. We've been on the road for like 16 hours. And my brother's neighborhood is one of the neighborhoods, if you're not paying attention, the houses can look alike or whatever. And I pulled up in the driveway, and I remember I saw a white truck. And I'm like, when did that dude get in a white truck? Whose car that is? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I remember I was in the window trying to see whose car, trying to open it, trying to figure out when the hell did that dude get a white truck?
Yeah.
And while we trying to figure it out, because the house looked exactly similar, while we trying to figure out whose house, like, when did he get a truck? And I'm calling him, he's not picking up. And then out of the blue, it hits me, damn, that's not his house. And we're talking about 2 o'clock in the morning and 2 black dudes.
Yeah.
2 o'clock, when we saw that, man, we ran so fast to our car and then took off. And then interestingly enough, I want to say about a month later, we had something that happened I think it happened in South Lake Charles, where a guy who came home drunk was trying to open the door to his apartment, which is the wrong apartment, and then ended up getting shot. And then I remember me and my cousin, when the news broke out, we were like, oh my God, that could have been us.
Yeah. Okay. There's one thing that stood out when you told your story about what happened with you. When you realized it wasn't the right house, you knew that there was a potential of something bad happening. So what did y'all do? Y'all left.
Absolutely.
This guy, the guy we just said that went to a person's house. It was South Lake Street. I remember that. He was telling the owner, I'm going in that house. And the owner said, no, you have the wrong house. From what I've read, he gave him a warning shot. They're outside the city limits. We could talk about warning shots. It was not a good idea. But he actually shot the ground. You're not too close to him, but just to let him know, if you move any further, this is going to go towards you. The guy still advanced saying, no, I'm going in this house. He made a different decision than you did. He came through. The homeowner decided that deadly force was needed because he was being threatened with his life.
But talking about warning shot, you said that wasn't a good idea. What made you say that?
No, number one, why waste a bullet? I don't like wasting my bullets. Number two, if you're outside city limits where shooting a gun on property is fine, warning shot, then that's up to you. That's your decision. But I live in city limits. If I fire a warning shot to scare somebody, now I just discharged a firearm within city limits, which is illegal.
But even though within the circumstances you was trying to warn somebody, wouldn't that be seen as a good thing?
You would think so, but why isn't the fact that I have a gun in my hand is not warning enough? Why do I have to show you that I'm going to shoot it? You see what I'm saying? So, but again, the gray area we talked about.
Yeah, that's sometimes it's too much.
Area.
It's just it's so complicated sometimes.
It sounds like such a good idea to say, wow, now you see what I did.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do this, but in a different direction, a direction you may not like. But again, it's illegal to discharge a firearm in the city limits unless your life depended on it. So if you did a warning shot, you now have to prove that your life was in danger. Well, if your life was in danger, then why did you shoot the ground? Again, gray areas.
Man, but the thing is, as a gun owner myself, who carry one with me pretty much, I'm not gonna say everywhere I go, but I'm gonna start now. One of my biggest fear is having to mess with that gray area. And then to your point, you were right. I'd rather just be alive to deal with the gray area. But at the same time, when you think about, within that moment, you were trying to do the right thing, protect yourself, like you were warning shot and so on and so forth. So perhaps you shot that person and then they didn't die, but you thought, okay, I don't need to kill them. I'm safe now. And then for that to turn around and bite you in the butt. Yeah. I feel like when I think about all that, it really overwhelms me.
It is overwhelming, which is why I do my best to try to help somebody steer them. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I can't say what's going to happen next because everybody's story is going to be different. You may even have stories where they shot a warning shot because you wanted to do whatever you can not to harm somebody in that way.
Yeah.
Which I think is very, very commendable. But does it end in the way you want it to? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It's going to be different for everybody who has to take part in this type of situation. So again, the gray area, yeah. If then we're talking about in the heat of the moment, you're gonna make decisions. Your brain processes so much information in such a short amount of time, it will blow your mind. And I learned that personally when I had my ordeal that I dealt with after or during Hurricane Delta. I can tell you everything I was thinking. It felt like it was 10 minutes. It was like 3 seconds. And it was.
So you're talking about I think you got a personal break-in, right? Invasion.
It was attempted.
Attempted.
It was attempted.
So can you tell us that story?
Oh my God. Okay. So when Hurricane Delta, so the difference between Delta and Laura, Hurricane Laura came in with the hurricane force winds. It was the wind damage. Delta was less wind damage, but it brought the water. So I left town just to not have to deal with it for a second. Well, when I came back, I went to Beaumont. You know, Beaumont's about what, give or take 45 minutes from here. Mm-hmm. Well, the weather died down in Beaumont, so I figured, okay, 45-minute drive. It should die down by the time I get to Lake Charles. Yeah, it didn't. I'm going over 210 by myself in my truck, scared as I don't know what in 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. And there's white caps on Ryan Street. That's how high the water was. It looked like little waves was on Ryan Street. So I took the chance. I was in a full-size truck to go home. But I did notice that there were headlights down one of the streets that I had to turn on. And I'm thinking, okay, we have weather chasers. We have possible law enforcement out, you know, helping people. Well, at the time, it didn't make sense. We pieced this together whenever, matter of fact, I talked to my sister about this to get her opinion on it. I barely made it through the flood to my house. If I would have slowed down, water would have went up the tailpipe and it probably would have shut my truck down. I drove in my neighbor's yard to get into my house. So I was excited. And when I got home, I started screaming. I was like, I made it. I made it through the flood. I'm just glad to be home, okay? Weather's still going on. By the time I got out of my truck, and yes, I packed up all my, especially my expensive guns, all in my truck. So everything was in the truck. And I took my gun off my hip, which I shouldn't have done, based off training, for just to be comfortable. So when I got out the truck, went to the front door, and I have a battery operated lock. So I was putting my code in to unlock my door. Then all of a sudden I see headlights beaming my entire front side of my house. And I turn around and I see a truck, red, kind of the older model F-150, the rounded body style, like about early 2000s. I know nobody with that truck. And so I rushed into my house, and because of their headlights, remember, there's no power. It's just weather. So I rushed into my house, and I can see everything in my house, but it hit me because now this is when my adrenaline starts pumping. You know that feeling when your legs start shaking, if they start trembling when you're. That's exactly. I almost fell a couple of times because of that. But when I say your brain processes so much information, I looked in my hallway. I know where my safe is. I know what's in the safe. You know, I had an AR-15 ready to go in the safe. But if I would have turned that corner, there was no light. I couldn't see anything. So I had to think, what do I have on me right now? I had a Glock 22, 40 cal, was sitting on the table. I said, well, that's what I need. Grabbed it, went back outside. This is when your training comes in, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know these people. I didn't know if I had a gun pointed at me at this time. So first thing I thought, close my door, lock it. If you're gonna ambush me, I'm gonna make it hard for you to get in my house, okay? So I went ahead and locked the door, and I turned around, and there was a column. Of course, ain't too many columns hiding me. I'm a big dude. So I was like, give them something, you know? So I said, well, I knew that there was somebody, because somebody drove the truck, so somebody was in there. But because of the headlights, there was such a glare, I couldn't see who was in the truck. But all I could see was two silhouettes. I knew there were two people. So the first thing I'm thinking, if anybody's gonna be aiming a gun at me, it's gonna be the passenger, because the driver has to drive. So I aimed at the passenger side light. This is within like 3 to 4 seconds that I'm thinking of all of this. Aim at the passenger side headlight, come up about 3 or 4 feet. So I know I'm in the range of the windshield. So if I hear boom and they miss, at least I could fire back at somebody. So then it hits me. If I stand here, I'm a non-moving target. So I took off running toward the truck at an angle. When I got out of the glare of the headlights, I seen two guys sitting in the truck with four hands up. When I counted four hands, I knew that they didn't have any weapons in their hands. So then immediately I'm thinking, okay, I'm still in danger, but is my life really in danger right now? It wasn't. So if I would have pulled that trigger, that could possibly be considered a murder, because my life was not in danger at that point in time. And this is the tough part about owning guns and dealing with that situation. When I seen there's two people, four hands. I don't know if y'all know anybody with three hands. I don't. So when I saw four hands, I knew that even if they had a gun, the gun wasn't in use anymore. So I had the advantage because I had the gun pointed at them saying, look, I don't know who you are, but you need to leave. What's the first thing everybody say during a hurricane? Oh, my buddy is down the street. We was just trying to get some gas. And I'm like, it's deeper there than it is here. Then I talked him into leaving. I didn't have to pull the trigger. It came close though. Another thing about training, I remember thinking very, very vividly, when I have my Glock compared to like the guns we have here, I knew what adjustments to make. I knew how I had to pull the trigger, and I was tight on that trigger. If I would have sneezed, it would have been over. I was tight on that trigger, okay? So they ended up leaving. That still shakes me up to this day that situation happened. And back to when we were talking about the mindset about guns, I actually value life more having guns and knowing that what they can do than I did before, because it would have been that easy. It could have been two dead guys in my driveway. Could have been three. It could have been me also. You see what I'm saying? So knowing that, yeah, we're strong. We're very, very versatile. We can pick heavy weights up. I've seen guys get hit by things and doesn't faze them. I've seen people break stuff that I'm like, hey, I can't do that. But at the same time, one little simple pull of a trigger can end you in a second. So that situation really opened my eyes to where, okay, I've experienced this. Now I have something that I can tell, that I can share with everybody else, saying, this is a smither of what some people have been through, what it feels like to be threatened in that type of way.
And thing is, I see how you said, like, within your mind you process things like faster, and then in a short period of time. One time I had I don't even know if I should call it an incident.
Okay.
My daughter was at home with me, and I was in my room, and I fell asleep watching TV. And I remember she started screaming and saying, "Who's this?" or something. Mm-hmm. And I usually keep a gun near my bed, and I like it's like right there. You got to know where it's at to know where to find it. No kids, nobody can find it unless you know it's there. Mm-hmm. And when she said that, and of course I woke up in the middle of my sleep, lost. And what my dumb ass did, I just ran to the living room, and there wasn't nobody there. And I remember on my way back, I'm thinking, okay, let's just say if there was somebody there. Because I think she said she saw somebody walking like in a backyard. I don't know what she saw, but there wasn't nobody back there. I checked the camera, there wasn't nobody back there. But in my mind, I remember like within that moment, my brain wasn't thinking. Because I remember when I heard she said, "Oh my," she screamed and she was like, "Who's this?" or something. And I guess my dad, I don't know, skill, however you want to call it, kicked in, and I pretty much just rushed to her aid without thinking, I need to grab my gun.
Yeah.
And I feel like, do you feel like people need some sort of training to run scenarios to their head or whatever?
Yeah.
To prep up for like, to where when, shit hit the can or whatever, to know what to do instantly in that moment.
Yeah. Now, we can't, if you have if you have access to people who can come and, you have non-lethals and you want to do a full scenario, by all means, train however you feel you need to train. I watch a lot of videos, and I talk to a lot of people who've been through these situations to try to at least prep. We really don't know what we're prepping for. So what I like to say, as a gun owner, I feel I'm the rational person. I hope I never have to use any one of these weapons against somebody. So I feel that I'm a rational person. Somebody who's willing to break into your home and say, whatever it is you have, I want, or I'm breaking in to harm you, whoever is in this house, or whatever their mindset is. That's an irrational thought.
I agree.
So we have rational people are prepping for irrationality. So you can't really prep for this particular thing. You're just prepping as best you can for anything to happen. So I can't say, okay, if somebody comes to your house at 2:00 in the morning, this is what they're going to do. You don't know that. But what can you do? Just you prep as far as you want to prep to feel comfortable saying, okay, if somebody does break in, at least I can do this to help protect myself. But speaking of the same story I just told you, I called my sister, Dina K. She's a compliance officer, so she deals with a lot of legalities. Okay, so I told her the situation. I said, this is what happened from me going home, what I saw, and I noticed they had headlights down a road. When I made my right turn, they would have to have come down that same road and made a left turn. It sparked a whole conversation. This makes sense. These guys were robbing people during the hurricane, because where's everybody during the hurricane? Away. Okay. They saw you turning down the street that was flooded, and then they follow you. And then when they get to your house, they pull in the driveway. They see you at the door. They don't know that I'm the homeowner and I'm putting in a code. They thought you were breaking in. They were trying to piggyback on what could have been another break-in. That's the only story that made sense. Why would you follow me if we're in a storm and you're going to just say, hey, there's a truck, look like they're going into a neighborhood, let's go. If that's your intention to break in, then that was their intention. They didn't think that could have been the homeowner just trying to get back to his house. And I'm like, that made more sense, which I really believe that's what happened. But then when they realized I was the homeowner and not another potential criminal, that's why those 4 hands went up. And they said, oh, wrong house.
Gotcha.
So I can, I can tell that story in a little bit lighter sense, saying, ooh, wrong house, I sound macho. But let me tell you, it wasn't.
You were scared.
Man, my heart has never been in my throat like that in my life. Things have happened that scared me in my life, before. I used to have a Mustang. I drove that bad boy at 150 miles an hour down the road in Arkansas and just enjoying it. Nowadays, I'm like, what was I thinking?
I know.
That situation beats out that Mustang any time of the day.
But let me ask you this, though, because we live in the South. As you said, people that don't from out here, they think, you guys are born with a 22 pistol in your hand. And the southern states are really attached to their guns. We're talking about Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. They are very attached to their gun. And when you go up north, it's very different. And I got something that happened to me. Me and my whole family were ready like an RV, and then we drove all the way to Jersey for like a quick little vacation, Christmas vacation or whatever. And we all were carrying our guns, like we all got license to carry. My brother, me, my cousin. I'm talking about we're walking around in there like we're cowboys. And because we had rented an Airbnb like in a nice neighborhood, the whole 9 yard. And then out of the blue, some neighbors came and talked to us. They're like, "You guys aren't from here, are y'all?" We said, "No." Said, "Man, if anybody walked here and see y'all with those guns, all y'all going to jail tonight." Because this is how she put it. And it was like, y'all not supposed to have guns on y'all, or y'all can have it at your house, but not on y'all like that. And I remember I Googled it to find out Jersey's not a state that allow you to carry a gun. Now, why do you think that is? The South is so different from the North.
Oh, man, it's just different beliefs, man. I'm pretty sure that there are states up north, like I'm thinking Montana. There's a lot of hunting that goes on up there.
Yeah, probably Montana.
But then it depends on events. What happens in the South? What happens up north? Is it required? Or I say, we talked about requirements of having a gun or not. Would it be safer to own a gun up north? It's based off current events. New Orleans is known as the murder capital. I think it moved to Baton Rouge now. So I'm like, well, okay, if I go to Baton Rouge, I'm not going without my gun.
I got you.
So, but then, do we ever hear, this Grand Forks, North Dakota is the murder capital? We ain't never heard of that. That's 45 minutes south of where they film Ice Road Truckers. And I don't know too many guys that are gangbangers out there in negative 30-degree weather.
Absolutely not.
So I believe it just depends on what goes on. There's mentality, there's attitudes, there's the way people have been raised, the way you've grown up. It's just different states, different areas have different situations.
But why are they so strict on it, though? I would have thought this is America. This is the Second Amendment. If someone, let's just say, if I move from the South to up North, I'm used to carrying my gun because that's what makes me feel safe.
Okay.
And I'm clearly a rational person.
Okay.
So why can't I have it with me? Why they just ban it completely up North?
Okay. So
No, let myself know. I mean, those northern states.
we're one country, but we have different states.
Yeah.
So everybody's can have their own say-so on what's going on in their state. But what gave me clarity was when I used to work at the casino, I worked with a bunch of Brazilians. We know how big Brazil is. Brazil is one big country, a bunch of different cities, towns, whatever. I'm not exactly sure if they have different states. They probably have different counties and everything, but it's one big country. Well, we automatically assume all of y'all from Brazil, y'all know each other. No. They were from different backgrounds and everything. They were all Brazilian, but they came from different areas. They were meeting each other also. So that kind of made sense. We're going to different places in one country, but there's different attitudes. There's different standards for different states. And as of right now, that's just the way it is because that's how our laws are set up. So what I tell my clients, wherever you're going, you need to learn what their laws are.
But let me ask you this. You know, like some like a city like Chicago or
Okay.
even New York, you know, there's a lot of crime. Chicago especially, you know. Like, but you think like it'd be safer if like they make it legal for anybody to carry a gun. Because now you got the bad guys that have got most of the guns and the people that's just living there with no guns.
And this is what I came up with pertaining to that.
Pick up the mic a little bit so we can.
Yeah. So criminals are not stupid. There are some that are dumb, but there are some that are dumb. But you have criminals that are not stupid. So if you tell the entire city, let's just say Chicago, law-abiding citizens, you cannot have any guns. You can't protect yourself. What the criminal's going to think? Well, we don't follow laws. I'm going to carry my gun. So you mean to tell me that every house I go to is not allowed to have a gun? So they have the upper hand. So they're just going to do what they want to do. There's nobody to stop them. Now, crime, I'll consider it, instead of saying crime, I'll say evil. Let's say good and evil. There's always going to be a balance of good and evil. You can possibly slow down some crimes, you know, but you're never going to stop it. You're never going to stop evil. Evil's always going to be out there. But there have been small towns, there and even in other countries, they require that there is a gun. Not that you, however you want to train, but there is required. Every house must have a gun. Petty crime of break-ins went to virtually zero because every criminal knew that every house had to have a gun. They don't know your level of training. Okay, but do you want to take that chance if you know that there's a gun in that house?
Of course not.
Maybe way less of a chance, you know, because again, some criminals are going to do it anyway. But if you're going to go to a town and you're a career criminal, and they're saying the law-abiding citizens, these people that you want to prey on, PREAY, they have no means of protection. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to take advantage.
But interestingly enough, though, even though we live in the South, like you said, criminal, they're not stupid, but some of them are. Like whenever I hear of a break-in happening, especially down here or in Texas or Louisiana, I'm like, what the hell were they thinking? And I'm saying that, I remember us, clearly we're not from here, we're immigrants. And I used to work in the casino also. And then one day after work, I used to work at night, we just sit in the parking lot BSing. And then they started talking about guns. And I remember literally every single employee just went back to their car and picked up what they had in that moment. I was the only one without a gun. And I remember that shit blew my mind. I'm like, you mean to tell me everybody's walking around down here loaded? It blew my mind. So therefore, that's what when I hear about a break-in down here, I'm like, what the hell were they thinking? You know, there's a 99.9% chance that person has a gun.
Yeah.
Are you willing to put your life on the line for what, a freaking TV?
Okay.
Or radio or something?
So you were shocked that everybody had a gun.
Yeah.
But you were also shocked when you went somewhere else and nobody had guns.
I know. I know. And it's the same country.
You see what I'm saying? It's the same, but it's a balance.
But you know what's crazy to me though, because when you're looking at even though America, we got a lot of guns, but Switzerland got, per capita, they got a lot of guns, right?
Yeah.
And then, but here in America, even though we got all these guns and you got all the shooting and all those crimes, and then compared to Switzerland, they got minimum. Like it's kind of like compared to America, like zero,
Yeah.
pretty much. And then
Yeah.
when you look at how they train their people, it's like a everybody got a gun. Everybody walking around with the guns. A kid 7, 8 years old. It's like a duty. You need to learn to
Yeah.
shoot. You need to learn how to, carry a gun. You need to know all these things. But when you said that, to go back to the first thing you said, it's not the gun.
Yeah.
No, it's not the gun is the problem. Look at the country; they got the same level of guns as America. Like where everybody, it's like against the law for you to not to know how to use a gun in Switzerland. But when you come here to America, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like sometimes I think that's people take guns, like learn how to know how to, because I see like, sometimes I watch some videos, it be scary as, I'm saying some people, they have the way they handle guns,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because this is like a weapon. This is like always about gun. When the bullet leave the gun, you cannot say, oh shit, come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't ask, come back. So and then when you do, and it can cause so many things.
You just made such a strong point. Switzerland, those people have a totally different mindset than American. Let's be real. Americans, we're barbaric. We are hard on each other, So when I'm speaking to people who are not from here, I get to kind of learn a little bit more about us Americans through your eyes because y'all are not from here. Y'all came here and y'all see the differences.
Absolutely.
When I moved to Virginia, it was a culture shock, completely. So I understand a little bit of what y'all had to deal with coming here to America. The next thing is, okay, they're training their people in Switzerland how to use a gun, this and that. Okay, there are so many more reasons than self-protection or for harm when it comes to guns. There is a list of things you can do with guns that has nothing to do with killing. Of course, okay, self-protection, possibly. Then you got hunting. You're hunting animals. The rest of the list, people forget: stress reliever, target shooting, competition shooting. I've even known, and you know what? And I can relate to this. There's been people who have been through trauma. They needed something to concentrate on, just to get back right. They got into guns. The rabbit hole of the engineering of guns, that's what I fell in love with. Not the macho side of it. And yeah, I got my gun. I can take care of business if I needed to in case somebody attacked me. That's a small part of it. The engineering of these guns that I know good and well, by the time when I die, these guns are still going to be able to shoot. My truck ain't going to last 10 years, But that gun, that's a fully functional gun that's in between y'all. Even though it's gold, it's pretty, it's little bougie, but that gun will still be able to fire with especially proper care.
Absolutely.
Long after we're gone. And I think there's a certain value of that.
Like, speaking of guns, like, you brought a collection. I'm sure that's not even 10% of your collection. Like, you were amazed. As soon as I walked in there, I saw this thing. It blew my mind away. Like, with the gold, like I said, with the little drizzle they got going on here.
It might be a toy, it might not be. Just YouTube,
I don't think that's a toy. It's not a toy.
It might be a toy, it might not be. But
the thing is, give us like a bit of background. So let's start with this before we move to those. Let's start with this.
One thing as gun owners, what we do, we never tell exactly how many guns we have. Because
I don't have no guns.
Exactly. Look,
that's toys.
These are the last ones that I was able to pull out because all the rest of them were gone in a boat accident, So,
yeah, that's toys gun.
So
that's a BB's gun.
Now, so what I did when I first started, my collection started as practical, reliable things that I just like because I was just learning. The more I fell down that rabbit hole and learned what guns are about, how can you take this gun that shoots a 9mm, that gun shoots a 9mm, but they feel totally different. How did you do it? Why does this car have a V8, but this car has a V8, but it's faster? So once I learned a little bit more of how the engineering works, I began to kind of upgrade my collection. So I said, well, I'm going to get rid of some of my practical, and I'm going to go up with more quality. Now, granted, some of these guns, they cost a little pretty penny.
Yeah, they do.
Hey, thank God I'm working, and the refinery is still open, so I'm blessed for that.
Absolutely.
And these are the guns that I picked from all my research that I wanted. I say, these are the guns that I want in my collection. So I did what I had to do to get them. Yeah. We all know this gun here, the Sand Viper. This is the almighty John Wick gun of John Wick 4. Oh my God. It was everything. Now his
Give the men a gun.
his is the Pit Viper. It's the only difference is the color, and it's iron sights only, which is typically your 3-dot sight or anything similar. The Sand Viper, what I found out is Keanu Reeves was coming out with John Wick 4 and also the last Matrix movie at the same time due to COVID slowing down the pandemic, slowed down the production of one movie. Well, these two movies were completed at the same time. So you don't want to put out 2 Keanu Reeves movies at one time. So they held off on John Wick and put out
The Matrix.
The Matrix. So Terran Tactical, who did the work on these guns and created that gun and trained Keanu Reeves, he said, well, we have all these Pit Vipers. Some are completed, some are not. We need to start selling because we spent all this money making this gun for this movie. So what they did say, hey, let's take the unfinished Pit Vipers. Let's make them red dot only, change the color, and call it the Sand Viper so they can start making money. People love the Sand Viper so much that that's actually their number one gun that they're selling. So the Sand Viper came out before the Pit Viper. So when the movie came out, hey, we now have the Pit Viper for sale if you want to buy John Wick's gun. So now basically same gun. It's the exact same gun. I like this version of it better, so I went ahead and got it. And it shoots every bit of what you think it does.
Feel like John Wick when you're shooting that thing.
It feels like butter. Oh my God.
I said, what's about this gun right here? Tell the people about
Okay, so the gun closest to you right here, which is the Staccato XC. Now, I did my little bit of research on Staccato. They used to be, just in general, they used to be STI, very good gun manufacturer and everything. They changed their name to Staccato. They actually pretty much coined the name 2011. So everybody knows what the 1911 is.
Yeah.
45 caliber. It was a certain build of, I think it was Browning that started that, if I'm not mistaken.
A cold or either brown. I think brown.
I think it was Browning. So that particular build of gun lasted the test of time. Well, these guys said, well, hey, let's take that same gun. Let's make it a double stack 9mm. Less recoil, but you still got the heaviness of the all metal gun. Well, that comes out. And long story short, another buddy of mine, we decided to start shooting. He bought a Staccato. He said, hey, you need to try it. I pulled the trigger. About 2 weeks later, mine was in the mail. And I do stand by that gun. That gun shoots amazing. It's an amazing gun. So granted, the Sand Viper is also another 2011, but there's been more engineering and work done to it. So it does feel a little different, but it's more of a competition gun. That XC can also be used as a competition gun, but it shoots so accurate. And my margin of error was so little. You know, it just felt like it just worked out of the box. I pulled the trigger, I hit the 50-yard target. Y'all know the 50-yard gong that we shot. It's almost like I couldn't miss. So yeah, has that become a favorite gun? Yeah, which is why it's sitting there next to the Sand Viper as it is right now. Now, these other two. So this is my latest here on the end. It's another 2011 by Atlas Works. I've actually hadn't shot this gun yet. It just came in. So I just wanted to add another 2011 to my collection, something that was real nice. So I'm still gonna have to get back to you on that one because I haven't experienced it just yet. But there's things about it that caught my eye. But now this gun here, the Alien, this is the Alien Creator. There's actually a few versions of this. That gun, you can't compare it to most other guns because typically your barrel is on top, your spring is on the bottom, and that's how the gun functions. Well, what they did was they flipped it. So one of the guys that used to work for CZ, who's make the Scorpion, the Shadow 2, I know you're familiar.
Yeah.
He left CZ and he took 3 years and designed the Alien. And they call it the alien because it looks like the alien head off the old Aliens movies. So I love things that are different. Now, yeah, these guns were expensive. It wasn't about I just want to buy an expensive gun just to say I can. No, there was something about this gun that I wanted. It was different. It's something that you're not going to see every day. So you have a gun where the barrel is so low, that means the recoil impulse is not going to be up.
It's going to be down.
It's going to go straight back.
Oh, wow.
It shoots straight back. There's not much flip up. So the way we hold our guns, is to mitigate recoil. There's not too much mitigation with that gun. You feel it press in your hand, for that instant. But the flip up, I'll put it to you like this. This particular one has a red dot sight on it. The dot in the window never leaves the window. So those who shot guns, they know when the gun recoils, it's all about putting it back on target.
On the same spot. Yeah, because you told us that.
You can control that gun to the point where the dot is going to move, but it never leaves the window. So
That's nice.
That's what caught my attention about the gun. Again, the engineering is what drew me to guns.
But you got all these guns sitting right here, and every single one of them is special within their own. And I'm sure when you go in your day-to-day business, going to work, going to the grocery store, gym, wherever, you got one you carry with you for personal protection.
Yeah, except for work. Except for work.
Except
they
for work.
don't allow that. They don't allow that right
except
now.
For work.
Yeah.
We do not do that. It's not allowed.
But I will admit, I've gone home to pick up my gun to go to the store. I've done that many a times. That's just my thing. Another reason I do it, if you want to call me paranoid, so be it. Thank you. If you want to go, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the category too because I always feel like I always ask myself.
But to carry a gun on your hip or however you carry all the time, you have to get used to it. You're not going to get used to it unless you carry it all the time. So if I want to get
it's
used
just like
to
you're in
it,
a situation, be like, man, I wish I had a gun right now. I never want to be in a situation like this. I always want to be like, yeah, I got it, but I decided I'm not going to use it. But instead of just like, damn, just a breaking out, I don't even want to be, and I'll train myself a lot to like always have my guns with me at all times.
And that's where the phrase comes. It's better to have it and not need it.
Yeah.
Than to need it,
It's
not
to
have
need
it.
it and not have
But
it.
you still haven't told me which one you carry with you on your day-to-day, or you just swap them up.
I will say, all right, so again, this one I haven't shot yet, so I have to look at it first. The Staccato XC, that I have carried because it surprised me so much whenever I pulled the trigger for the first time and hit that target, and it was like I couldn't miss. So, which brings up the next issue. Do you carry your cheapest gun that you're willing to have taken away? Because if you have to use it in a situation, the gun has to be taken for evidence. And you probably have a percentage, maybe 50% chance of getting it back. Because depending on what situation it was, I'm gonna let the cops deal with it.
I'm sure those guns, you're not getting them back. They're gonna be like, what?
Well, if you're gonna carry a gun like
keeping
that, again, you may get it back, you may not. You may not, but I'm willing to let that gun be taken away for a time, because I'd rather be alive and have that gun taken away instead of having my life being taken.
Then I want to ask you this question though. So like now in the Louisiana, so like you're an instructor, you don't want to teach us like get the concealed carry and all this. Now you don't even need to have that concealed carry permit.
Constitutional carry. We've now gained constitutional carry.
How you feel? What's your opinion about that?
Man, okay.
Because they got mixed opinion.
Yes. And I've dove into understanding both sides of this. Initially, we are constitutional carry. You do not need a license to conceal. We've always been an open carry state. But now it's not required to have your concealed carry license to conceal carry. The first thought that I've heard from one side was, oh my God, everybody's gonna have a gun. We're gonna have people having guns that don't know how to use them. There's a chance for accidental shootings, people who are not trained. Is there a potential for that? There's always gonna be a potential.
As of right now, even before the concealed carry.
Even before constitutional carry.
Okay, yeah.
What criminal follow laws?
None. That's what they're
What's
criminal.
the definition of a criminal?
Yeah, that's what they're criminal.
They don't follow laws. They already have the guns. So if you think about it, this allows more law-abiding citizens to have easier access to carry guns for self-protection. So, so what it does is, if you wanted to conceal carry, which means the gun is not visible when you're carrying it. When the gun is visible, it's considered open carry, and there's pros and cons to both of them. We have, in the law that I've read, it stated that if you have your concealed carry, it does give you a little bit extra immunity in case you have to go to court because you had to deal with a situation, saying that you have been trained, you knew that that was your last resort. They can't make you seem like you just didn't know what you were doing. We're not vigilantes, and Batman is not real. Okay? So, but it gives you an extra layer of protection in case you had to deal with a situation. But at the same time, if you get pulled over, let's say, okay, when they run your license plate, they know if you have a concealed carry. They just want to see if you're going to lie or not, whether you have it or not. But if you have your concealed carry license, they know immediately there's no felony on your record. There's no domestic violence charges on your record, which will prohibit you from owning a gun. So in a sense, the officer would immediately know that you're law-abiding. You know, so there's pros and cons to it. I mean, cons, there's really not many cons. If you want to look at it as saying, it's my Second Amendment right, why do I need a license to be able to carry? So people would see that as a con. And I see where you're coming from. But it's still a state-issued license. It doesn't prohibit you on anything saying what you can or can't do with it. But what it does do, it's your background check. So anytime you buy a gun, you fill out a 4473 form, which protects the FFL, saying you are legal to buy this gun today. All right. Even if you commit a felony the next day, they can't go back on the FFL. But you run a NICS background check, NICS, just to make sure you don't have any felonies on your record that would prohibit you from having a gun. But that concealed carry license is a deeper background check than that of the NICS background check. So you can present that license, and the FFL would have a different program. They put in your gun permit number. It says valid. They can legally sell you the gun without the NICS background check. So there's no way they could delay you just to say, hey, we don't know who you are. You have a similar name to somebody who does have a record. So they want to double check to make sure that you can have a gun. But with that license, you bypass the background check.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So there's little tips. There's little tips and tricks to it. But the main thing is you have your gun license that's showing that you've had some type of training, at least basic training, which eases a lot of people's minds to say, okay, I see you carrying a gun, but you have this license showing that you've been trained in some kind of way, so you know how to use the weapon.
But I always feel like, like open carry always be like, when you got the gun like this, you're like your target. Let's say, for instance, a criminal wanted to rob a bank or doing something, and I see the guy with open carry. If I'm shooting somebody, it's the first guy I'm shooting.
Okay.
Or the first guy, you know what I'm saying? Because like he's a target, because I already see he got a gun, he become a threat to me. So I felt like concealed carries make more sense to me, because like the guy doesn't know what I have. So I got more options to protect myself, and the guy just, some people might just say, hey, give me your gun, put the gun down, and don't shoot you. But you never know. It's a 50-50 shot. The guy can just come in and just directly
50-50.
shoot you.
It's so 50-50. So yeah, you're right. You see the guy with the gun, you're like, okay, if I come in and have to do something, that's the first guy I'm going after. Okay? Or I'm about to go rob this bank. Oh, there's a guy with a gun. Let me change my mind about this.
Yeah, but if you come up with the guy first and say, hey, man, give me this. Like some guys, when they determine to do something,
Yes.
if the fact that they see the gun, but you can always say, okay, I'm gonna tell, hey, give me that gun you have, because I see it.
That's true.
But if you want to conceal, you really don't know.
That's true.
And I can act like, the guy can act like he doesn't have a gun. I see, so many times I see like, videos where people just rob somebody and they think the whole time the guy didn't have a gun, and next thing you know is he drop you. You know what I mean? I feel like concealed carry, it's always gonna make, you always gonna have, like you say, always gonna have good, always gonna have bad. Any things you have, just like a knife, You use it in your house to to cook, to cut stuff. How many people that get stabbed every day? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like I guess the misconception. I mean, I love guns, and I'm really like safety, like gun safety. Because even sometimes I'm watching some videos, because the way they're holding the gun is just like, oh my God, it's just so scary. Because I see people that just like even kids, like those live things, and then carry the gun, talking about like. I think it's good, like, for parents to know, like, you have to pay attention to stuff like that. If you're gonna have a gun, make sure like your kids know not to touch it. Put an extra safety. Put whatever you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? Because guns is like I always say. When I say when the bullet leave, you can't ask it to come back. So you gotta take extra protection. Take it like it's like always make sure like when you hold a gun. Not even ask him all the time. I always say like, if you give me the gun. It doesn't matter if I saw you. Take the thing off and check everything. When you give it to me, I'm double checking.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost me anything just to make sure, because I don't know. Or maybe like, it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And the 5 seconds that you give it to me, a bullet could have been in there. But I don't know.
Exactly.
But what is it going to cost me to just double checking? So that's what I always advise people. If you want to, those misconceptions, guns good, gun bad, it depends how you feel about it. It's all about your emotions. So go learn about guns, go shoot, like you said. I think it's therapeutic. To be what gun I think is really therapeutic for me is like that. What's that little the short AK?
Oh, that gun.
Like an AK. Oh, you talking about the Draco?
Draco.
Yeah.
I always say like, man, Draco. I don't. When I shoot Draco, I don't shoot Draco just to aim. I just put it, just relieve all my anger, everything. It's good.
It goes back to automatic weapons. They're so fun to shoot.
You just go out and you're not trying to like. I just go. You just
exactly,
and then just you go home so happy. You're just like, oh my God, everything lifted your shoulder.
It's the same thing as working out. You go and you exert this energy. Well, it takes energy to keep this gun steady to shoot. It's the same thing. That's why it's a release. It's a release of stress. But the very most important thing about guns is responsibility, education, and safety. And I don't care what order you put that in. Most people will put the safety first, but it's like, well, you have to learn safety, so let's go with education. So that's why I say those three things. You put those together, you learn your basic rules, and then you start learning more of the detailed rules about guns. Knowing how they work, knowing what could happen. Like I was explaining earlier, I don't have a pool in my backyard. So the chances of me drowning in my backyard is very, very slim.
Yes.
But once you put a pool back there, now
you got to know how to swim.
If I have kids back there,
yes.
There's a chance, okay, well, if you're going to get in the gun game, there are going to be some concerns. There's going to be a chance that, a possible stray bullet, an accident can be fatal, okay? This is where education, responsibility, and safety plays in. And once you get into the gun world, do you notice how hard we are on each other as far as safety?
Safety. You preach it to everybody.
When you pick up a gun, I'm going to watch and see, where does that finger go?
Yes.
Is it touching that trigger or not? And if it touches that trigger, I will correct you.
I'll take the gun away from you immediately.
Yeah.
because I say like when you got a gun, first thing you gotta do, I do that a lot. Dry shooting, like holding it, you make a big muscle memory. When somebody give you the gun, because I remember first time I touched a gun too, like my fingers always trying to go in the trigger. Yeah. Always gonna go on trigger. Always gonna go. So I had to train my mind like, okay, they need to give me the gun.
And you're not wrong. Because that's what you do to shoot the gun.
Yes. Yeah.
You put your finger on the trigger.
So you got to keep doing this. Like you just don't buy a gun and just. That's why accident happen. You never train. You never take your time to learn about it. See what the guns are trying to train. Yeah. Like watching YouTube video, clean your own gun. All this gonna give you like more familiar with the gun. The gun is not like I don't own a gun to shoot nobody.
Yeah.
That's the last thing in my mind.
Exactly.
I never wanted to do that. Yeah, I go do practice shooting, stuff like this. It's wonderful to shoot a gun. But like with all the crazy in the world, it's not a bad thing to have either. You know what I'm saying? You never know when some shit can happen.
Exactly.
I never want to be in a situation like, you go to Walmart or you go to a store and there is a crazy guy going to some shit and they decide to come shoot it. And then at this moment, I'm like, oh shit, I wish I had it. But That's what I don't want.
I got a scenario. I'm glad you brought it to that point because I had a scenario I kind of want to run by you. Because I remember there's this little shooting thing that came out, I want to say a few years back, to where the guy was wearing a camera, to where you could see everything he was doing as if he was playing Call of Duty. I don't know if you recall that moment. It was like a shooting that happened in Buffalo, New York. The guy had a camera, and he recorded the whole thing. And then when you saw the video, it looked like you were playing, like the same point of view you get when you're playing Call of Duty.
Oh, the first
first-person view.
First
That's what you got.
Yeah.
And then I remember in that moment, like when the moment, like I remember, you could see that he put his car in park, get out of it, and then he put the strap on his neck, and then started pointing and shooting at people. And I remember I was playing the scenario in my head. Let's just say, like somebody, like you're the most expert I know in guns.
Okay.
On it, like, and let's just say you're in a scenario like that, right? You're at Walmart, wherever you might be, right? And then some crazy fool starting shooting. And you knowing that, of course, the adrenaline spike gonna hit you and everything, are you gonna run away or are you gonna at least trying to take them down?
Man, okay.
I've always wondered about that. What would be the right thing to do in that situation?
The decision that you need to make for yourself is to stay alive. Is running away gonna keep you alive, or will engaging this person will keep you alive? That's your decision to make at that time. This is why owning a gun can be so complicated. The situations can be so complicated. We talked about the gray areas. We talking about how it can be used for evil and how it can be used for good. It's tough. We have to almost be a detective ourselves. If somebody comes in my house, could it be my sister? Could it be one of you guys? I need to make sure that I know who this is, or I need to know that I don't know who this is. So in that type of situation, it's hard to say. Hindsight is always 20/20. We can always say, "Oh, I should have did this," or "I would have done that." Yep. Really? Have you ever been in that situation?
Because I feel like,
because let me tell you, that little situation I had, it doesn't really sound like a big deal, but when it happened, it was a big deal.
Yeah, because I can understand that because you don't know what the guy because at the time it's a mind game. You don't know what the guy is about to do.
I can tell you right now, 40 years from now, if we're all still alive, I'd be like, man, remember when I told you that story? I'm never gonna forget that.
Wow. So you say the best thing is to run away.
I mean, it's just like best thing in that moment.
But I feel like
at the time.
So let's say, for instance, right now,
it's okay to run away.
So you had the guy, you was right here, and you got the gun on you, and the guy's shooting, and you can just run.
Like you can have the drop on him in a sense. Like you got the advantage. They got his back turned to you or something.
Yeah, the back turned. But at the end of the day, it depends on like the scenario. If it's the guy, if he's like you was already safe, do you gonna try to play hero? I mean, sometimes you.
But I don't even consider playing a hero. Like I feel like within my mind, because I remember when I was looking at that video, I feel like I was thinking to myself, okay, you're in that situation, you see this guy doing this evil deed, and then you can clearly do something. Like I'm not gonna say, stand in front of him and be like, shoot me instead or anything like that. But let's just say while he's got his back turned up to you and doing whatever crazy shit he's doing, and you get the drop on him, and you can probably pop him and stop, save 20, 50. I'm not gonna say that. Like the way I'm looking at it is not put yourself in danger by going back and forth with him. It's like you got the drop on him, you got the advantage, where you can put an end to what he's doing.
So here's another thing. There's another saying, behind every bullet is going to be a lawyer. So know that if you have to engage, what's going to come after? Are you willing to deal with it?
You mean to tell me somebody going to Walmart and start shooting, and then let's just say, and I decided
I don't think nothing going to happen.
And then they had to question me and be like, hey, man, you shouldn't shut the guy in the back or something like that.
Hey, you'd be surprised.
I mean,
oh, my God. That's
done. Here's another one of those complicated scenarios. Okay, let's go with the basics. Somebody broke in your house. Okay, they're in your living quarters. You had your doors locked. They forced their way in. 9 times out of 10, deadly force is usable. They're in my house. I can pretty much say with confidence, if someone kicked my door in, bullets are flying that way. That's how I run my household. Okay, but if I shoot, that person drops. There's no longer a threat, and then I walk up just like in the movies and just finish them off. Now that could be considered murder because that was overkill. Because after you shot and that person dropped, whether they had a gun or not, and let's even say the gun is away from you, away from that person, they are no longer a threat. You have to stop advancing also. You can't just go and continue to shoot unless you can prove that you were still in danger, because somebody shot can still lay down and still pick up their gun and shoot. It's up to you to have to justify that.
But you think
that's
like-
where that goes within that gray area. That just makes
But I think that's
Again, the
but that's a
gray
big
area.
difference. I would think like
Gray area is
I
a
think
monster.
I think if you in a Walmart or any places, and the guy was doing a act like that, I think if you shoot him, you should be a hero.
You should be
I'm
here.
thinking
I don't
that-
even think
I
there's
don't
no
think
way
you
that's
look
gonna
at this,
come back
but
and
it
bite
should
you in
be-
the butt.
And I completely agree. And I think that if I had somebody doing something like that blatant, and I can come in and save somebody, you know, especially kids, grown-ups, adults, whoever. If I can stop that type of threat, I'm thinking that at that point in time, if I feel like I can make a safe shot, or if it calls for it, I'm gonna go ahead and take and do what I have to do. It may be worth it to me to go through whatever comes next to say I saved those people's lives. And if I got to go through this to help these people save their life, so be it.
Okay, next, and then my next question. Clearly, you're an instructor. You teach people about gun safety, how to use a gun, the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with a gun. And let's just say you get somebody that's green that's probably going to be watching this podcast and be like, you know what, this dude made some valid points.
Okay.
And I need to go ahead and get me a gun, get trained, get educated, and so on and so forth. What gun would you advise a beginner
Ooh,
to
man.
use for home protection?
I like that. I love this question because based off my experience, I can say, hey, you know, whether money is an object to you or not, hey, man, you get this gun, you'll like it. There are some guns out there that are engineered so well that it's like, I know you're going to like this gun. Everybody's different. Everybody's hands are different. Their tolerances to recoil is different. Most of my beginners, the first thing they think, I just want a small gun, just a little, pew. You know, just a little something that's not too much on my hand. It's my job as an instructor to get them to understand what it is that they're stepping into when it comes into the gun world. You want to get a 22? Perfectly fine. A 22 can kill just like any other gun, okay? Shot placement is your thing. Not necessarily, oh, I'm shooting this 50 Beowulf and just blow everything apart. Okay, but I could do the same thing with that 22 if my shot placement is on point. Because a 22 can go through the front of your skull. It may not go through the back, but it will penetrate the front of the skull and it'll ride the dome back down. So it's still doing damage. So comes to somebody brand new and they say, hey, what kind of gun do I get? Come see me. Let's go shoot. Let's see what your tolerances are. Put a gun in your hand, see if it's comfortable to you. The best analogy I can come up with when it comes to recoil, have any of you played baseball?
No.
Have you ever taken a stick or a bat and hit something with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you make contact with what you're hitting, you feel your hand get jarred a little bit.
Yep.
Is that not similar to what it feels like to shoot a gun?
Yep.
So now, most people are scared of recoil. Oh, I don't want a gun with a lot of recoil. And I'm like, well, you're going to deal with recoil. Welcome to the gun world. That's like, hey, I want to learn how to swim. Well, you're going to get wet. You're going to have to deal with that. Recoil is something we deal with. Now, my female clients, they're a little bit more, they tend to be more worried about the recoil. Us guys, I want something that's going to kick my ass. So we love to be challenged in that physical way. But when it comes to even male, female, doesn't matter. It's a genderless activity, if you think about it. I can't shoot this gun any harder than she can. So 9mm is a 9mm. Now, I may be more accurate because I had more training, but the bullet's still flying at whatever speed it's going to fly out at, okay? So somebody brand new, I will put a gun in their hand to see, okay, do you like a bigger gun? Do you like a smaller gun? Okay, what scenario do you want this gun for? Do you want it for home protection? Do you want it for personal protection? Like when you leave your home, is it on you? Or do you just want to leave a gun at the house? Those questions need to be asked because I would suggest a different gun for different situations, okay? If I had my way, if somebody said, hey, what do I think? Buy a minimum of 2 guns. Number one, you know they're going to take one gun if you have to use it. So you need to have a backup to use. And there's all kind of tactical, not say rules, but there's little tactical ideas that you could come up with. Like I keep a gun I have a gun that's in my vehicle that's ready to use for when I'm in my vehicle, but I also have the gun that's on my hip. I don't want to keep taking that gun off the holster and put it as my vehicle gun, because the more you have to take a gun out the holster, the more chances I may have of a negligent discharge. Leave it in the holster. So when I step out of my vehicle, that becomes my personal protection vehicle. The other one stays in the vehicle. The other gun stays in the truck or car, whatever it is you're driving, okay? So, and it's hard not to get into the tactical points because all of this is coming to my mind so quick. But back to your beginner. When somebody says, what type of gun do I need? I say, well, there are certain questions I have to ask. How sensitive you are to recall? Have you ever shot a gun before? How important is capacity? Or do you want bullet ballistics? Do you want the biggest bullet that you can handle? It all plays a part into that. So guns, they're simple, but they're not. They're complicated also. So it's a process. When someone asks me, what kind of gun would you suggest? It depends. What do you want the gun for? That's the first thing that I ask. And once you give me that information, then I can fine tune where, okay, and they make so many different models of guns. I just learned of a new model gun that's out that I think would be perfect for somebody who says, I don't want anything too big. I just want something small, fit in my purse, fit in my pocket, whatever. Then there's a new one. It's the new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. It's a 380 that holds 12 rounds.
Oh.
Did not know that was out until I just so happened to go to that one pawn shop that I think we're familiar with.
Yeah.
That they had a couple of them. And I checked it out and I said, based off of my experience, when I held the gun, I said, this would be a great gun for a lot of my brand new clients that said, hey, I don't know what to get. What do I need to start with? Perfect gun right there.
Do you advise one in the chamber or none in the chamber?
Yes, absolutely. Because there are times where things can happen and it happens so fast.
But I feel like he's kind of like that too. I'm the opposite. I don't keep none in the chamber. I always feel like we talked about safety. Yeah. And I'm like, if let's just say things go south, I don't know about other guns, but it take less than a second to cock it.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and matter of fact, the Israelites, they had their Desert Eagles. They were trained to not have the bullet in the chamber, and this is their military, so they trained to pull that gun, cock it, and to have it ready. And they were using Desert Eagles at the time. Okay. Are you wrong? No. If you don't want it around in the chamber, that's on you.
I feel uneasy if I got a round on the chamber around me.
If you feel okay, then that's fine. But there are situations that happen where I gotta have that round. If anything, I need that one shot. And let me tell you what solidified it for me personally. I had a 45. All right, just bought it. It was something new. I said, okay. Went to Academy, would buy me some extra bullets, and I bought a certain hollow point. All right. I had in that gun for days and never put it in the chamber. And I was just like, okay, I'm in my vehicle, or I'm at home. I have time just in case. I can rack around. Do you know I went to rack around and that bullet didn't match that gun? It was still a 45, but there are some guns that are sensitive to some certain type bullets due to the shape that they made the bullet. It would not chamber. So if I needed that gun, when I racked it, it wouldn't chamber. So if I needed it, it would have been useless. That solidified it for me saying, no, I'm going to have one in the chamber.
I got you. I always feel like, to me, like my gun, the one in the chamber is always because, let's say, they got moments. It's that second. Like, if the guy holds you and he don't see you in the guns, like if I had a chance to pick it up and just put it in the shoot like this, because right now, too much action. The men see you doing all this.
Yeah.
That's just too much. You know what I'm saying? I just like, if he was
but
like
I just think about it like for the sake of safety, because I always feel like
if you got it in the holster,
if there's a gun that got one in the chamber, you never know what might happen to where like it just pop off because they already had one in the chamber.
He's not gonna pop off.
Okay.
But if you have it in the holster, he's not gonna pop off.
Well, I'll put it like this. There is a very high percentage that it won't shoot because of the safety mechanisms inside the gun, not just that little lever on the outside. I train my clients not to rely on that lever because that lever can fail. It can fail engaged or it can fail, disengaged. So either way, if you want to have an external safety, by all means, get it. I'm not going to say not, don't do it. I'd rather not train you to rely on that one button that's going to save out the whole world right there. It's that one little button. But again, responsibility, safety, education. Matter of fact, there's been many nights I had my gun next to my bed. There's a round in the chamber ready to go. And I'm trusting myself to be able to pick that gun up, finger straight off the trigger, to not accidentally just fire a bullet into my bathroom.
And that's why the muscle memory comes in. But me, I got one in the chamber, but it's always on the
In the holster?
on the holster all the time.
So that's another. See, you added an extra layer of protection of saying, well, it's going to be in my holster laying next to the bed.
Yes.
So all I got to do is just rip the holster off, and I know I at least have one shot.
Yes.
I know I have one shot that's gonna fire, but the holster protects the trigger. It keeps you from pulling that trigger. I've picked up my gun a couple of times, even out of my holster on the hip, and it happens to everybody sooner or later. The magazine wasn't engaged anymore because I may have twisted a certain way. The holster maybe could have been a better holster. Pushed the mag release, and it released the magazine. So guess what? I only have the shot that's in the chamber.
You got a point.
I picked the gun up and that magazine fell out. I said, oh, if something would have happened, at least I got one shot.
I got you.
At
You
least
got
I
a
got one.
point.
But again, I'm not going to say it's wrong, but if you're going to train, or if your gun that's in use is not going to have a round in the chamber, you need to practice using that gun.
I do practice. Something come up, first thing I do, like middle of the night, a weird noise.
You need to become as fast as possible.
I mean, if you're at home, I can get that. I mean, you might have time, but there's a situation you might not have that second at all.
Because when was it? I think that happened recently. Not recently, probably like last year. Mm-hmm. And I was at a gas station. It was like in the middle of the night. And no. I was at an ATM. Because usually when I'm getting money at ATM, no matter if it's $20.
Yeah,
I tend to just stop, check with daylight or nighttime. Stop, do a full 360, make sure I'm good or whatever. And I was on the one on that Chase Bank on 14, and I stopped. It was a bit late, like 6, 7-ish in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And I stopped, looked around, didn't see nobody, and then I put my card in the ATM and everything. And then there's this guy that came out of nowhere, but he wasn't paying me no mind. But the fact that I didn't see him, he just came in the rearview mirror. I saw him, and I was able to just grab the gun and pop it and be ready. And he kept on walking, minding his business, and I put it back down. So
I'm just saying, now you had a chance to see him. That's what I'm saying. The situation that you don't have that chance to even see the guy. That's all I'm saying. It might not work. You might have one in the chamber. You don't have a chance to even pull it. But I just want to have that fuse. You
just made one very strong point. Just having one in the chamber doesn't guarantee that you're going to have the upper hand.
I feel like if you didn't even get a chance, your day came.
Having a gun.
It was your day.
Having a gun in general gives you the opportunity to fight back. It's no guarantee.
It's not guaranteed at all.
It just gives you an opportunity to fight back. And let's be real. When it comes to a weapon, what's better than a gun?
Nothing.
Star Wars is fake.
There's no lightsaber.
Now, are there anything out there that we just don't have access to? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I haven't seen it yet. But as of right now, this is the best we got.
And I agree 100%.
And if I'm going to protect my one life, I want to protect it with the best thing that I can. As of right now, it's the gun. If there's something better, then guess what? I guess we selling some guns off. I doubt it, but
So like we got what do you think happened in 2020? And it's just all the guns was out. Even though people talking shit about guns all the time, but when 2020 happened, everybody was getting ready.
You couldn't find a bullet at a academy.
That dose of reality hit.
I know.
You couldn't find a bullet at academy.
Okay.
It's crazy.
So there was two things about it. Let's just use academy as the control here, because when I say, hey, I'm going to go get some bullets, the first place I go is to
me
academy.
too.
Yeah. Okay. So you have your preppers. You have your guys that are already in the guns, guys, girls, whoever, doesn't matter. They know that, okay, people are going to start buying guns because the cops, the law enforcement, didn't want to respond to as many calls, because the more calls they respond to, the more exposed they're going to be to people in the close quarters, whether they're infected or not. Okay, so they wanted to lower their exposure So there were some calls that they just were not going to respond to if they considered it petty. Oh, just a little break-in, we're good. So people got scared. People got scared and said, oh, now it's up to me. And us as gun folks, we're like, that's what we were trying to tell you in the first place,
right.
you know, but hey, to each his own. You're a grown man, you make your decision.
Yeah.
You're a grown woman, you make your decision. You see what I'm saying? So, but your preppers came up, oh, they're going to start buying guns. We need bullets. And plus, us gun guys, we like to practice. We don't want to run out. We got this fear of running out of bullets. So what we do, we go to academy, start buying them up, okay? Then everybody started buying guns. Especially people were first timers buying guns, and they say, well, why don't you have any bullets? And it's like, well, if you understood what it meant to buy guns and what the gun rail's about, the gun that's a paperweight without a bullet.
Yeah, it
You
wasn't
can throw it
nothing.
at somebody.
Yeah, I guess you can just pencil whip somebody. I guess I don't know.
So let me tell you a little quick funny story. You remember what was the one thing besides bullets and guns that everybody started buying when we had the lockdown?
Toilet papers.
Toilet paper.
That didn't make no sense to me. But
I didn't get
It
that
doesn't
part.
make any. Yeah. And I agree. But do you know I traded toilet paper for some bullets?
Oh my God!
I'm not even joking. I was low on some toilet paper, but I wasn't worried about it.
But I
you
didn't
know?
get that though. I was thinking to myself, why people weren't worried about food? Because in order to shit, you need to
Believe
get
it.
food first. So why the hell y'all stocking up on toilet papers?
Believe it or not, I forgot what country it was. I want to say it was somewhere in Europe. It was a joke on Twitter. Somebody said you could be locked in your house. You better get your toilet paper.
But that's what I can.
It
tell.
was a joke, and it
Man.
just went, and it was so strong that for these hurricanes and all that's starting to develop in the Gulf, and we had some close calls. You know, the last hurricane, thank God,
went to Florida.
it moved. You know, we had 9 inches of sunlight that week. We thought we were gonna have a
9
bad
inches of
storm.
water.
What's the first thing everybody started buying?
Toilet paper.
The toilet
just
paper.
never
But the thing is, it don't make sense to me. Like even when I heard it the first time, I never bought into it because I'm like, what in the hell is wanting to stock toilet paper? I can't eat that shit. You think like right now the world coming to an end, wiping my butt is gonna be my biggest concern? But I never bought into it.
at the end
Neither.
of the day, I'm from Haiti, but I think that this is the last. I was toilet paper.
I'm like, really?
I get the bottled water.
I get I
bottled
get
water.
food, but
Yeah.
toilet paper out of all
Toilet paper.
things.
So you're telling me all this shit's going on like you're just like, hey, can you grab me the toilet paper?
You'd be surprised by it. You'd be surprised
I know, man.
because I didn't.
That makes no
And don't get me wrong. I'm like you. I didn't buy into it.
Yeah,
you know,
I
I
mean-
didn't buy into it, but I thought I'd have a little fun.
And I think like they say, hey, for anybody's out there,
I was shocked.
if you don't have no toilet paper, if you got any paper, wet it. You'll be all
So,
right.
hey, there's multiple ways to clean yourself.
Man, there's many
Wet
ways.
that paper, bro.
If you out of
Wet
toilet paper, you
that
can't figure out how
paper.
to clean yourself. We
You
got a problem.
Hey,
We got a problem.
you got some shirt somewhere in the house.
That you don't want it forever. Some old socks, you name
Come
it.
on,
something,
man.
man.
Come on.
Anything-
I mean, I'm just
anything
saying.
softer than a rock,
Let's be honest, man.
Man,
Come on,
and then I never understood it. I'm like, why in the hell would I go there and stock up on fucking toilet paper out of all
it
things?
took me a minute to think. I'm just saying. I was saying so many ways you can wipe yourself. So many ways.
And
Bro, you're
that whole event that actually happened twice because the pandemic and then now these hurricanes. Everybody started buying toilet paper. That really told me, okay, when I'm teaching somebody about guns and instructing them, I got to be careful because that perception is such a reality to everybody. If I say the wrong thing, it could send them off into
To your bitch.
just a fritz, you know. So I have to be careful and make sure that I'm giving the most quality instruction that I can because I want you to be able to save your life. I want you to say, hey, I feel more comfortable in this world or in this area.
Let me ask you a question. So let's say right now, if you had to go back and talk to the guy 9 years ago, they hear nothing about guns, what would you tell him?
Ooh, man. Let's say, hey, man, it's not what you think. You would think, it's just a macho. It's just, just get a gun. We Rambo today, and everything. There's way more to it than you think. So if you want to go ahead and get into it, they say you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. I've met some of the best people I've ever met through guns. It doesn't seem like that matches because you think, okay, you're just a bunch of, everybody just, let's go shoot some stuff and let's just go destroy things. No, there is a serious big community when it comes to guns, especially competition. Look at us now. How did we meet?
Through guns.
Through guns.
There you go. It wasn't the gym. Even though I see y'all in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't the gym of how we met. We met through guns.
You're right.
So, what is your like top 3 favorite restaurant in town?
Ooh, man. You know what? And I actually, when I watched your podcast with my old cousin, you asked him the same question. Man, if they got food, I'll take it. No. Man, you know what? See, I'm a little older. I'm 42. So that we have a lot of great restaurants that's come and gone. I don't know how long y'all have been in Lake Charles, but we used to have Western Sizzling was a restaurant that was a big thing out here. They had great food. Copeland's was good for a little while. We had, y'all talked about Balls Fried Chicken. I think you weren't really much of a.
I love that too.
They were great, and I'm kind of hoping they're coming back because I didn't know about it growing up until I ate it later. And I said, man, it's actually pretty good because all we know is we had KFC for a little while, we had Popeyes, we had Churches for a while, and then they kind of disappeared. Well, it was another option, and they were good. And
Popeyes was way better than them. But anyway.
No, both fried chicken.
And it still depends on
out.
which Popeyes you go to. I go to the one on 14. They say they tend to put a little more extra seasoning on it.
Yeah.
More on 14. You know what I'm saying? So, but man, lately, I do like Saltgrass.
Yeah,
I do like Saltgrass. I do like the some of the higher known chain restaurants, but then every now and then you have that mom and pop restaurant that's only in local in Lake Charles that have the best food. And
Area 337 is a good one.
yeah. Famous Foods. Mm-hmm. Also they have some really good boudin balls, and a lot of Creole style foods. Man, to say my top 3, man,
You gotta have a top 3.
man, that's actually, and the reason why it's so tough because there were so many restaurants that's come and gone, and now we have new ones coming. I'll say, well, there could be a new top 3, But as of right now, if I had to go somewhere right now and say, hey, let's go, I do like Cadillac in Golden Nugget. It's a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
I do like their food. Saltgrass, I've never been disappointed in Saltgrass. Their food was always amazing.
Hey, to be honest, I want to put it like this. I don't know why. I had some bad experience in Sawgrass, but not in the Golden Nugget. I felt like at the Golden Nugget, it's just a different Sawgrass compared to other Sawgrass you would go somewhere else.
It is, because I went to Saltgrass in Galveston.
And it was not the same.
It was different. It was totally different. They said there's another one in Kemah that I need to go check out.
I just don't know if it's the Golden Nuggets because it's a big hotel. They got
Yeah,
prime
standards.
stuff.
I think it's the area. I think it's the area. You have different style cooks.
Yeah, but Sawgrass here is top notch, A1.
Oh, awesome. Hey, and I always find myself there.
Yeah.
When I want to go somewhere, and it has to do with the crowd too. I'm used to casinos, so you never know who you're going to meet in a casino because people come from all over.
Get to come out there.
Another restaurant that's always been good that kind of gives us a little taste of the South is Steamboat Bill's.
Oh yeah, that's my spot.
I know he was gonna say
That's
that.
my spot.
There's one on Broad and there's one that's downtown. And I like downtown just because it's right in front of the lake.
I don't like Texas.
Man, that's my
I
spot.
like Texas Roadhouse, man.
Man, okay. I used to work at Logan's Roadhouse, and they were really good. But there's a reason why Texas Roadhouse have that parking lot is full every time they open. There's a reason.
I like this.
Boy, that what is it? The butter.
Yeah, they got that rice too. I like that little rice.
The rice, but with that roll, what is that?
Yeah,
The cinnamon butter, whatever they use.
It ain't my spot. I don't care for
It's
it, Joe.
It's hardcore, but we are so known about our foods here in the South that, man, to say a top 3 is going to continue to change. It's going to
My
continue to change.
current top 3. To make it simple, current.
I will. So I'll put it like this. I'll say Saltgrass is one of, and I can't say I'm saying these 3,
But not in order.
Yeah.
There's no particular order. Saltgrass is one. I do like Cadillac. I do like their style of Mexican food and how they prepare it. For that 3rd one, I ain't gonna lie, I do like Texas Roadhouse. I really do like Texas Roadhouse. Nowadays, since the hours change, it's hard to get into sometimes, but I'm telling you, I enjoy it every stay.
I mean, Texas Roadhouse, if you want to sponsor the show, trust me. I
Go
would
ahead.
love for you to do so.
There you go.
All right.
I've never had a bad experience at Texas Roadhouse. We have spots like Mazin's. I've never been there yet.
Yeah, I went there before.
I've heard some good things about it. What's the one off the interstate?
Oh, you're talking about
The one off of 210.
yeah.
I should know this because I'm from here, but I'm just drawing a
It's
blank right
it's a
now.
high-end restaurant too. What's
It's
that?
higher end.
For 210.
I am so drawn to blank. My own
Turn
Lake
down
Charles
from
person
there.
is so mad at me right now.
No,
for
that's
not-
like by the Kia. Is it Kia?
yeah.
Kia. Man, they just we do it. It's
I have no idea what y'all talking about.
I can't believe I'm drawing such a blank. It's just I haven't been there so
Passive
long.
Henderson.
Passive Henderson's. There we go. That's what.
Yeah.
Because it's been closed for a while, so it's kind
But
of
it's nice.
drifted
It's
off.
nicer now than before.
That's what I heard.
After, yeah,
That's
it's
what I
really
heard.
nice.
Their food was great. That Passive Henderson's was it. You know what? Back when I was young, that was that. Hey man, we want to do a little bit more high end dining.
Yes.
That's where you went to was
Yes.
to go to Patsiy Henderson. So
It's
you know,
nice.
I need to go
It's
back
really
and go
nice.
see. Post hurricane
Yeah.
and post pandemic and everything. There's been a lot of changes.
Yeah, it's really
Lots
nice.
of changes, especially here in Lake Charles. After Laura, I've never seen. There's two things about that. After Laura, I've never seen a city that I grew up in that was in such destruction. But one thing I noticed, being a gun guy, everybody was carrying. I've seen the signs. You loot, we shoot. I was like, oh, okay.
Right, I saw plenty of these signs.
We
Plenty
getting a
of
little
these
gangster
signs.
here. Okay, we doing it, So, but I was actually, and you know what? I felt safer and I felt more proud.
Yeah, it was a good sense of community. of
It
being around.
was, and everybody was out for their protection. They were down for protection. They had people carrying guns that I didn't even think owned guns. They were concealed. They were open carrying. They were doing everything. It got
The
to the
old
point where
grandma,
I was like,
98
"Hey
years
man, what's
old.
up? What you carrying today?"
But you got any more questions?
No, I'm blank. It was really fun having this conversation with
But
y'all.
I want to say this to everybody that's watching. Gun is not the problem, like you said. Just learn about guns. You can own a gun. Just like you own a knife. Just learn about it. Practice. Practice safety. Don't let your kids have it. And then when the mistakes happen, you're trying to blame the world for your own mistakes. Just learn about guns. Try it. Go to a
Gun range.
Gun range. Trying to practice, see how it feels like. You know what I mean? It's just, you don't have to, the first thing come to your guns is not like to have to be defended yourself. Use the guns as maybe to go shooting. Trust me, it's a good stress relief.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is.
So I know we have all these guns right here. They're all toys guns. It's not real. It's fake. You know what I mean? But we wanted to create this episode to go about the misconception about guns. They got all these talkings about guns. I wanted to create this episode to make people understand. Sometimes it's not about the weapon. It's about you.
It's about the person.
It's about the person. What do you want the gun for? Do you want it to do good stuff or do you want it to do evil? Just like the way they say, like I said earlier, just like owning a knife is the same thing. So please learn about guns. And that will keep the world safe, your people safe, keep me safe. Stop doing the stupid stuff with guns. When I watch those videos, you cringe me. I can't take it no more.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show. And then don't forget to like, subscribe. If you have something in the comment, and please, because you see these guns, I don't want to have to hear all those negativity in the comment.
And also, we got an instructor here with us, and I'm sure there's gonna be people watching this who are green about guns, like once upon a time we were, that might want to be able to get in touch with Byron because they want to, teach themselves about how a
Absolutely.
gun works, safety, and the whole 9 yards. How can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I'm on Facebook. I have a typical Facebook page of just Byron Biagas, Byron. Last name Biagas, Biagas. You could connect with me there, or I actually have an LLC, Recall LLC, spelled with a K instead of a C, so REKOIL. So, and I also have a Facebook page. Feel free to shoot me a message, even if you just want to talk about guns, just to see if you even interested in getting into the gun world. I'm more than happy to discuss it. Also our state. If you go to our state website for state troopers, for the concealed carry handgun department, you can find our list of concealed carry instructors in Louisiana, and I'm part of it. So you can go there, find any instructor, almost any FFL. You can ask questions. It's the main thing is speak up, ask questions. If you want to get into guns, fine. If you want to just see if guns are your thing, come to me. More than happy to help.
Yeah, stop making guns political. It's not a political stuff. Bad stuff always gonna happen.
Yeah.
Take a good example at Switzerland. They got the same amount of guns per capita, even more, and the country is safe. So take that. It's not like listen to what people are saying, what is going in the media and all of this stuff. They're trying to pull you left, pull you right. Just do the work.
Do the research for yourself,
Do the
and
research.
then speak with somebody like my man right here that can instruct you the right way, and perhaps hopefully they can change your mind about guns, change your mind about how people see guns. Because a lot of times people see guns, they fear it as if the gun can just grow legs and do whatever it wants.
Absolutely.
When that's not the case. And
Absolutely.
And if you have mental problem, search for help. Seek for help. Don't go call somebody. Just like whatever you talk to. They got those numbers. I'm gonna put that on the end of the video. If you need help, please do that before you go grab a gun and do something crazy. You know, please seek help. If you need help, I know mental health is a big deal.
Yeah.
If you need help,
Yeah.
please seek for it. And thank you so much, Brian, for coming
Oh
to
man,
the show.
it was a pleasure. I thank y'all for inviting me over. This is a discussion I've been wanting to have for a very long time. It's just we're so busy. I know it was tough for us to get together, but hey, we finally made it.
there you go.
We
was a
finally
good
made
one.
it.
It was a great
amazing.
one too, honestly. And then, like per usual, like, share,
Yeah.
and subscribe. And then, if you guys have any comment, please feel free to comment. Or perhaps if you got any questions concerning gun or safety or whatever the case might be, reach out to Byron to his Facebook page or to his LLC. There you go. You have it.
Absolutely. Freaking awesome.
Man, what do you think about it, man?
Dude.